Well, what do we have here? A fancy legendary card that was just posted earlier today by Eurogamer Italy, a reputable publication. We have reason to believe this belongs to the upcoming Hearthstone expansion, which we have reason to believe will be connected in some way or another to Alterac Valley. That's been the prevailing theory. There's been some data mining. As is always the case, we don't know if these things are final. This may not be real. This is speculation. But, in other words, proceed with caution. We'll save the official review for this card for later. But Bororso Glacius, as it is called in the Italian translation, looks like it's going to be a new Shaman legendary. And I've got a handy English translation here, as others have kind of put together. I didn't change the name. It'll probably be some name like the Glacial Bear Queen or something. Who knows? But it's a 7-mana 6/6 elemental battle cry. For each frost spell you've cast this game, summon a 3/4 elemental that freezes. And again, this is a translation. This text may not be final, but I think we can glean quite a bit from what we can read here. Essentially, this is a big old board loader for Shaman in, I would say, the late game at 7 mana. But the notable part of this is that it utilizes frost synergies. And although Shaman has certainly had frost spells in the past, it has had some Freeze Shaman stuff with like Murabi, for instance, in the past. If you look currently for frost spells available to Shaman, you know how many there are? 0. A big 0. There are no frost spells in Shaman. So for a card like this to be any good in Shaman at all, they're going to have to print a ton of frost support for Shaman. That frost support's all going to have to be, reasonably good to support a card like this, or it's going to have to be good enough on its own. So a lot of questions to answer with a card like this one if that frost package for Shaman is going to come together in any sensible fashion. Now, if there are enough frost spells printed either immediately or over the next year or whatever to put enough in a deck, I think you would probably want like 3 or 4 to have already been cast by the time you want to play Glacius here on turn 7 to make this a really substantial board builder. Basically get 3, 4, 5 minions out of this, I think, to feel good. 5+ is probably where it gets really exciting. That is, of course, going to be a high friction board. The freezers can be annoying. In standard format, I mean, it's a little late game, honestly. It's 7 mana to not just be outright dealing more damage. It's susceptible to AoE removal. Single Flame Strike deals with most of this board. So this kind of points towards more of a mid-rangey minion battle style of play than we've seen a lot of in Hearthstone these days, which is always concerning for a card like this. Other things might just go under it. But if you have frost spells that are doing a lot of freezing, if they're stalling out a game, slowing things down, that could create opportunities for this one to be more meaningful and more impactful, as long as there are plenty of ways to get stuff in play and lock down your opponent's stuff as well. So, cards like this that summon a lot of things can be important and big. We actually saw like the Watchtower dude at 7 mana even get a little bit of play in the Barons meta. He would summon a bunch of 5/5s, kind of similar to that, right? It's requires you to play a few cards beforehand, and then you get this big board build out of it. So not hopeless here for this card, but I still think pretty challenging because you got to solve this frost problem, and then you got these kind of meta fit concerns as well. So all that said, we'll talk more about this card when it's finally revealed. I mean, it's kind of an official reveal, but when we know more about what the expansion is and how this fits together with all the various Shaman pieces. All that said, I wanted to give you a look here, since this has been hitting the news cycle pretty hard all over Reddit and various community sites. I want to leave you guys out. So what do you think about Bororso Glacius? Oh, and if you're somebody who speaks Italian and you think there's a great way to translate this name that's really obvious and clear, let us know. I have a feeling it's like a proper name or something, and it's a little hard to work with. But nonetheless, always curious to see if there's any fixes or changes here on the translations across the board. Otherwise, what do you think about this card? Is Murabi in Wild going to be a thing on the back of all these Frost cards? I sure hope so. I'd love to freaking see that. And can Standard fit any Frost Shaman things? And so on and so forth. Curious to hear those thoughts and more. Thanks as always for watching. And until next time, game on.